Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 98th episode of the HSBG Podcast. I'm your host, Educated Collins. I'm here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny. Shady, how you doing?
You get more practice now, right?
I have so much practice with
yes. Started to really let me just wind it up. Here we go. I'm great, Collins. I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty solid, actually. So yeah, that's good to hear. I like to hear this. That's generally the vibe we want. But yeah, we've got another episode of the HSBG Podcast with you today. We've got some things to talk about. There was an armor update, which has some ramifications, and then we also just have some tier lists, I guess, to talk about. So without further ado, let's begin.
I like that.
So first things off, we do have the patch armor changes. Patch 25.6.3 came out very recently, a couple of days ago. And this one has a couple of armor hotfixes. So this isn't really going to be changing any minions, any buddies, anything like that. It's really just focused on trying to balance the heroes around their armor value. So they did something new this season where they're allowing heroes to be under 40 HP. That used to be the minimum requirement. Now you can go down to as low as 30. So that's a huge adjustment, right? Being able to have 30 armor heroes with the cap of 15. Oh, what?
Yeah, sorry, no. Continue.
Oh. You said, "Oh," I was like, "Oh no, what have I done wrong?"
I messed up. I haven't seen anything more than 20 armor, but you said that they're gonna potentially bring it up to 30, or
well, no, 30 HP as overall, right? You're gonna have 30 overall HP is the lowest you can get, right? Because 30.
Yeah, I guess the wording is I would just say minimum, right? Like the minimum health is 30. Like when you say overall, I feel like we're talking health and armor combined.
Overall, the health is like what, 50? Is 50 the highest?
40 for a lot, right? 40 for a lot, and then some have 20 armor. And
yeah, so 50 HP.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because I don't think I've seen anyone have more than 20 armor yet.
Patchwork?
Yeah, I mean his armor doesn't go over 20, right? He just has a lot of base health.
Fine. Anyways, but yeah, the minimum HP is 30, which it used to be 40 essentially, and then that's a huge change essentially. Now you've derailed me. All right, let's just get into the patch then. Fine.
Messing up my flow. Talking about my numbers.
I was talking about numbers, but yeah, we'll take a look at them. So it's a server-side hotfix, and now the following heroes have more armor. Ysera now has 6 armor, but Ysera has 10 armor at high MMR. So, we can go down the list. I just want to talk. Anything that jumps out to you is like being particularly weird in the more armor department.
Let's just bring up the interesting stuff.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm asking.
So Scabs has 13 armor.
Seems weird to me.
Well, Scabs got nerfed in that the buddy is now 4 instead of a 3. And that means that it's really hard to get it on turn 4. Like it's so expensive.
Right.
Like sometimes it's 10 gold. Like I've done it where I've like sold 4 units on 6 gold and I've buddied for 10.
Does that make sense? It doesn't sound like it makes sense. I mean, I guess it depends on the buddy, right? That you're getting.
Right, lobby. It makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Right? Let's say you steal ETC and you make your buddy golden because you did that. That makes a lot of sense all of a sudden. Let's say you steal tickets. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a reason that Scabs and Tests were insane when their buddy was a 3-drop because you get it on turn 4 a lot of the time.
Okay.
And it's just, I mean, an extra turn is an extra buddy. It's more gold. It's more tempo. It's everything. So it is a huge nerf to delay that with, on average, an extra turn. Now, I have played some Scabs since the patch, and my results have just not been good. And I think part of that,
okay,
yeah, part of that might be
ETC is less played.
Yeah, almost not existent. Okay. So you don't get that free golden buddy. There's a lot of mutinous, which is a complete dud.
Useless, yeah.
Doesn't do shit, right? And like every time a mutinous is offered, it's being picked in IMR. There's a few others that you just look at and be like, this does nothing for me, right? Like you have a Varden, like, oh, what do I do with a Varden, right? And then if you get the buddy late and you steal like an egg from Brand, you're like, okay, I guess, but that's kind of late. I have to play a 0-3. So yeah, it kind of hits him from a lot of angles at the same time where there's fewer like there's not that many ticketless players as well, so you don't get that.
So for what I'm hearing, this is less of like scabs being hit, but like everything across the avenue of like what makes scabs broken has been adjusted in some way. Like the heroes you want aren't as played, and then the heroes that are played don't really help it. So it's more like scabs could still be broken, but the meta would have to have been different, where like the stronger heroes would have had to be different heroes.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that scabs is all of a sudden bad. I'm just saying that I had like 5 or so disappointing games in a row, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not picking scabs anymore. It's like, fuck that. Like I'm one player, right?
Yeah.
Sample size of 1.
Right.
So of course you could still hit the right people at the right turn and say, oh, scabs is so broken. But I just had too many games where I was just like, man, I'm just not stealing useful things here. It's not coming together. And I think that's okay. I think different people can have different evaluations for the hero. And like I like things that make sense to me. And right now, scabs doesn't make that much sense.
I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Yeah,
they like things that make sense to them.
Well, but sometimes there's something that you just know is strong, or the general consensus is that it's strong. But if you don't know why it's strong, it might not apply to you because you might not be making the right plays to make it strong. Like, for instance, Mutinous is really, really good. If you don't know how to play it, it's not that good. So that's a big deal. If you don't consistently get a big buddy somehow, then the hero is not very good. But good players consistently get a big buddy, and then it's a very good hero. So it's stuff like that. It needs to make sense to you. And right now, Scabs doesn't really make sense to me, even though I still see other people like him and I see him picked in other lobbies. But yeah, for me, it's not really been that good. So anyways, Scabs is 13 armor, which sounded ridiculous at first. And then I played it a bunch and I'm just like, wow, this is 5 bad Scabs games in a row. I'm going to stop.
Okay.
All right. So Maiev has 18.
Yeah, that was jumping out to me as well. Yeah. I was like, 18 armor Maiev, but it's 12 at high MMR, which is still, I guess 42 HP, right? Like the way I have to look at these are like a little bit different, right? Where 18 armor is basically 8 armor, which is still a lot, honestly.
On Maiev, that's a lot. Yeah. So, but that really highlights again, Maiev, such a phenomenal hero at high MMR. And probably such a piece of crap for a mid-range player because you're just like, I'm just dying. What is this shit? Because Maiev has this really small margin for error. But man, if you respect that boundary, if you respect that margin, and you pull it off every time, she gets very powerful turns. Like I had a game. Thank you, Maiev. I had a game today where I got 2 primal fins for my 2 buddies. So I made 2 golden primal fins, and I mean that's just cheating, right? Like I had a brand as well, so obviously
don't tell me that.
They came out in 1 turn, right? So I got a buddy with a brand, and then it came out in 1 turn, and then I rolled another primal fin. I was just like, oh chat, this is gonna be so good. And then I got a Murkai, right? And then I chefed the Murkai.
I don't want to hear it.
I put the 2 golden primal fins on each end of the Murkai, and I got like 8 Murlocs per turn. I was like, yeah. So it's a high roll. So shit like that you could do with Maiev, but you need to see the opportunity, right, to sneak in the buddy at the right time, and you need to survive because I think it's so easy to die on Maiev. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense that she has 8 armor at lower MMR, 12 armor at high MMR. And then I guess the last thing that jumps out for the higher MMR is EDC, and now has 20 armor.
Yeah, and it used to not have.
Used to have 10.
Yeah.
So 40. Now it's 50 total.
Yeah, so
and it makes sense. Yeah.
It really got hit hard, basically.
Well, almost all the reasons to play ETC have been removed, right? Because ETC was powerful because you got economy almost guaranteed. Now you can't hit Elise, Cat is on 3, Egg is on 3. So you just don't get economy early on anymore.
Have we tried the 3-on-3? I feel like at 20 armor, it's maybe more viable.
Yeah, but I feel like you have to hit money because otherwise
You
your
did.
6 gold turn is buddy flow 2. That's so bad.
Well, you could
So-
double buy, no?
Well, yeah, skip the buddy then, sure, and then you.
So basically, it feels like there are things that people have not tried. Essentially,
No. You see ETCs go early 3 and this and that, and I've done okay on ETC when I've picked them because I think if you are a very versatile player, you still just get buddies. And you just like, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can make it work here, there. I made a golden Enhanso Mechano buddy last time, and I rolled like bronze wardens and shit, and they were like 10. They were like 10 nines because you're getting a lot of buffs with a golden enhancer for like 2 keywords.
Yeah.
So that stabilized me, and then I like made a golden Yogg buddy later on, and this and that. So there's still room for shenanigans. It's just he starts so slow right now because before you were flying. You had more money than everyone. You were leveling fast. You were strong. Now there's a lot of times where you have to stay an extra turn on 3, and then you don't really go to 5 that fast. And so I feel like with ETC now I pick it when I don't really like the other ones too much, and I'm just going like one ETC game, for instance. I just made a Vol'jin buddy golden. And I was like, all right, I'll just do that and buff some of the Flectos and we'll get like a top 4 or whatever. So
I really get the feeling like if I played ETC, since I don't know the old mechanic, I'm like, oh, this is really good.
Still decent, yeah.
where you're like playing ETC, you're like, oh my god, where's my free money? Everything.
Yeah.
Like this could just be so much better. Well, I'm playing it, I'm like, ooh, free money. I'm just
where's my free tier 6, man?
I really get that feeling with this right now. But yeah, sure.
Maybe we can play one after, and we'll see if we get an ETC or something.
Sounds good.
All right. Less armor now, right?
Anything? The only thing that jumps out to me as well is like Illidan. Still don't love 12 armor. Still feel like that's not enough. And then Bigglesworth with 16 armor is always scary to me. Like giving Bigglesworth a lot of armor always like feels like.
Well, I think last buddy meta I think was like 10, right? So like 50. So basically 20 armor. So we're not there yet. And Cat is a 3-drop now. Keep that in mind, right? Cat was a 2-drop.
Oh, it used to be a 2 last time, yeah.
Yeah, now it's a 3 because they maybe due to ETC or maybe Cat numbers were just also doing well.
I'm pretty sure it was ETC. Let's be honest. Let's
not big hit on the side there.
Yeah.
That's a big nerf.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not too worried about Cat players.
That's fair. All right. And then following heroes now have less armor. Anything jump out to you here?
Yeah. Here there's a lot of stuff that makes sense. So Mutinous now 7 armor at high MMR. Mutinous might be the best hero in the game right now.
Yeah.
I think it's Mutinous and Hooktusk that are fighting for that slot.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
funny. Right? Like, what do you mean you agree with it? You're just like, oh yeah. Yeah.
You've seen some shit, maybe. Yeah. No, I had a game this morning as well where I was just able to make a big regular buddy. So I think the golden, it's funny, right? We've had this evolution. So the standard Mutinous play before this buddy meta, right? So last buddy meta was you just make a large first buddy and then you spit that onto 3 things, and that's good enough to be really strong.
Yeah.
But it feels now that you can really manipulate when you get the second set of buddies. People have started going for the golden buddy because then you can like click the button for like, fuck it, I'll just pay 7 gold, I don't give a shit. And then you can just do it 1 or 2 turns earlier than you would have gotten with the buddy meter. So I think that has been a really big shift in plays. A lot of golden buddies come online way earlier. People will like pay 10 gold for a Hooktusk buddy. It doesn't matter.
You're right. Of course. I would.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind, if that was buddy meter, what is 10 gold? Is that another 4 turns that you'd have to wait?
Right, you're right. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, so that changes the playing field completely. And I think Mutinous is one of the biggest winners there, and we see that right now as well, where you could just pay 8 gold for your golden buddy. It doesn't matter if you're making 5, 60 minions, you'll pay 8 gold for that shit. That's no problem. But now people have gotten even greedier, and they're not even making a golden buddy. What they're doing now is they're making a huge first buddy. Then they spit that onto 3 things. Then they pay like 6 gold, 7 gold for their second buddies, and then they put those buddies on the board and they start eating the big minions to spit them on the other buddies, and then they get a big buddy. Then they eat that one, and that goes on to the other buddy, and that one then goes on to everything that you want to buff. So this morning I made like 200 health Deflectobots.
Seems normal.
Which is insane, right? It's like, yeah. Like somebody Leroyed my biggest minion, and it wasn't even close because I had 3 other giga large minions. So it didn't matter. Yeah, it was very, very ridiculous to look at that. I think I lost 1 game on Mutinous where I got second place because someone was playing APM Pirates and actually got bigger than me. So it took an APM player to outstat what I had. And you can very easily buff cleaves and shields, so poison isn't really that good, right? But so yeah, anyways, super strong. And then Hooktusk is another the other one we talked about.
Right.
Also went with the 7 armor at high MMR. So I think that makes sense, just introducing more risk for these heroes. Hooktusk already feels quite risky because you always like, oh, I gotta be able to carry this buddy for 1 more turn. Come on. And then you get past that point and then you pop off, right? But some people don't get past that point. You see a lot of Hooktusks do go 7th or 8th because it's not that easy of a hero, and you really need to map it out and get a big power spike. But when you do survive those 1 to 2 critical turns, you just run away with the game because you have so much money. So her first place rate is off the charts. Rate is off the charts, but she still gets 7th and 8th. And I feel that's a bit less on Mutinous, where you might get more second places on Mutinous than firsts, but you can always just hit the panic button, right? Just eat the buddy earlier than you intended to, and then you suddenly stop losing. So I feel like Mutinous is quite safe in that regard. You're always like, all right, fuck it, I'm eating them now. I'm just stabilizing. So you have that. Other than those 2, there's a few that are interesting, I suppose. Reno went to 10 armor, and I think that's partially or mainly because the buddy is now 1 drop. Then Ragnaros went to 10, but it's 13 at high MMR, so I'm not sure if that changed for high MMR. And Arana is now 14 armor, so I think Arana had 20. That's a big chunk gone, and I think that's maybe this was kind of the same last time with Arana. I think people just started figuring out, I can do some crazy
it went down from tier 2 to tier 1 as well, I believe.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's probably a reasonable adjustment based on that.
Yeah.
The like we see a lot of higher level players really do this in pirate lobbies, because then if you have Hogger, you basically are infinite when you have 2 Hoggers. Because you're buying pirates for free, which means you're also not rolling. So you're not paying for your rolls. So that means that you can survive for a while, and then you hit a money pirate, and you're like, oh, now I made gold. And then I can just keep going. So, but that's a lot of work. So Arana is another one of those. Arana is another one of those heroes that I look at and I'm just like, you younglings and your APM comms, right? You go have some fun. I'm gonna just go sit here with my Theos, play 4 neutrals, and go take a piss or whatever for the rest of my turn. I've really changed in that regard. I used to love playing Hog. I used to love playing APM, and now I'm just like, I'm also not really disconnecting, right? So I'm not really trying to get the most time either in my turn. So APM in general has been more like, I'll do it. I'm more like you, I think, right? Like
the longer you talk, the more I'm like, he's just becoming me.
Well, I guess to fill that point, right?
It feels weird.
Like, I'll play the Hoggers. I still enjoy it to a degree, but I'm not. It's not like this huge adrenaline rush that it was, let's say, a year and a half ago. But yeah, there we have it. So I think those are the main things that jump out from the heroes that have more and less armor.
I still think it's cool to see the different armor breakpoints from the MMR brackets, and I like that the type heroes like Inni and Fungomancer, right? They're gonna get a little bit more armor, higher MMR, while lower MMR, right? They're still too easy to play. So kind of cool to see that.
No, I think that's great. I think that's we talked about that where like that would be the ideal system, and then they went ahead and did it, which is
They
cool.
did it, chat. Who would have guessed? Not me. And
We do have
then,
another. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, they do have the changes to the ETC hero pool. Is that what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that and the Greta bug. So they have made EDC a little bit better, where
Mhm.
now you don't get hero. So there were buddies in the pool that are theoretically useful sometimes, but in
Mm.
practice not really. So
Right.
Barroff's Apprentice, you could buy a coin Naga, and technically that's more coins.
No.
George, you can hero power and buff your board, buff your divine shields. Technically okay. And then Lich Bazil, you could be buying those 3/3 demons to hurt yourself, right? So those are, I think those are heroes who are like, well, technically there's a use for this. And they buddies, right? And they took those buddies out, which means that you're getting more
Playable
overall useful,
things. Yeah.
yeah, overall useful buddies. So that's good because I don't feel like ETC right now is broken at all
Mhm.
with all these changes. The other one I wanted to mention is that I used a Greta gun on my Hogger
Mhm.
when I was Panda when I rolled Vosh. So that's a lot of things, right? But Vosh makes the first spellcraft permanent. And then at the start of my turn, my Hogger was not golden. I was like, what the fuck, right? So maybe they changed it or this or that. And then now I read, oh, we fixed the bug where Greta Gold Gun didn't permanently. I was like, oh, so it was a bug back then. Okay, so I missed my golden Hogger.
How dare
Anyway,
they?
I know, ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that is that is relevant. So that's a huge buff to Vosh, of course.
I love how there's like a bug where the minion summoned by Sly Raptor's Death Rattle was sometimes not buffed by Mama Bear. And you're like, I never play Mama Bear. I get already here.
I play some Mama Bear, but it feels like Stomper has sort of filled that void. Where if
So
you're
once
playing,
again, yes, this bug did not affect you.
no, I well, maybe it happened one time and I didn't like notice, right? Maybe that happened. It also says sometimes. So maybe it's like 2 minions from the pool or whatever that were affected by it. I don't know what it was.
Right.
So I didn't notice. If it
Okay.
happened to me, I didn't notice. I'll put it that way.
Fair enough. All right. Sounds
All
good.
right.
Looks like we covered all of that. Next thing we want to talk about is some tier lists. So we do actually have some skilled players, or allegedly skilled. They've put out tier lists. 2 of them. We've got the rank 1 NA and EU players. They both put out a tier list very recently, and I thought it'd be interesting to kind of discuss their 2 tier lists. So here we have the EU one. We also have the NA one from Sliders and Beater. Sliders being from the EU perspective, Beaters being from the NA perspective. Any one you want to dive deep in first, or do you not care? No bias here.
You can pick whichever. We do have to
All
say
right, we're
this is
going NA, baby. Let's if you're gonna
this
give
was
it to
not this was not in collaboration, right? So these are separate tier lists.
they're not that would be cool. Like if
Yeah. If it'll be fun if we could get them together and talk about it. So.
But Beaters knows the truth. S plus Mutinous hooked us. I don't disagree. You know that card
feels right. Yeah.
Everything else not as broken. They do have a couple of differences once you get past that, but they both do have Mutinous and hooked us at their top tier, right? So it's just that Sliders has a little bit more things that are in the same tier, but overall, like you do get the feeling if it's like pretty accurate that those 2 are very, very strong.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that when we go to Beater's tier list, so can we include the links for Spotify, maybe so people can watch it themselves if they like?
Tell me after the podcast. Like, come on.
I'm fighting for you guys, right? Okay. But we'll do our best to also mention the heroes in the tier that we're talking about. We're not going to mention every hero in every tier because that'd be a little boring, but we're going to talk about the interesting ones. So in Beaters S, we can talk about everything that's in there because I feel like S here is interesting enough to talk about everything.
Yeah, of course.
So we have Millhouse, Gallywix, Togwaggle, then Syndragosa, Barov, and Queen Ajara.
So the one that jumps out to me is the Syndragosa. I'm going to be like, why is this in here? Everything else I can see. Syndragosa,
Yeah.
I'm like, this one seems off to me. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I think this is Beater getting like 2 insane games on Cindy or something. He's like, fuck it, it says. I'm not sure what happened there. I know that XQN at the end of last buddy meta was also like, dude, Cinder Ghost has the nuts, right? So maybe it's just some high skill player thing that they're doing where they're following a specific curve. I think XQN used to warrior curve her and then just like get a triple, but freeze it so you just get it
Very
like
late.
yeah. So the buddy, when you use your hero power, you get that minion to your hand at the end of the turn. That's what the buddy says. You get a frozen minion from the tavern. So with Cindy, you can either freeze the whole tavern or you can hero power a minion. So maybe that's what he's doing, where he's just staying on one, fishing for a triple, and then getting it very cheaply. Because normally when you're playing Warrior Curve, it's a pain in the ass to buy the triple.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I gotta level to 4 and I gotta sell 2 minions and then I gotta buy the thing. And then, if you just get it for freezing it, that's obviously nice. Now, one thing that does happen is I guess they freeze the whole shop for like 1 or 2 turns and like, don't give me it yet kind of thing, right? Because if you get the triple early, you got to freeze, and then if the buddy's on the board, you might pull it too early. So I don't know exactly what they're doing, but yeah, this one is indeed the one that stands out. I think Ajara also stands out a little bit, but I can absolutely see it because I played only 1 game with her, and it was a slam dunk first, where I just had like 2 Wranglers, and the buddy says, anytime you cast a spell on a different minion, also cast it here. So that procs Wranglers. So that shit gets huge immediately. A trick you can do as well is when you get your second set of buddies, you could sell your original buddy first, then play 2 normal ones. But with Greta, you can golden any minion on your board, and then both those buddies will become golden. So when we then add an Atissa to our board, this is essentially what happens. Yeah, I'm going to explain, right?
Wait, I see it.
You're already doing the math and you're like, this is illegal, right? But for the listeners, so what happens is the text on the buddy says, whenever you cast a spell, cast it also on this one. The golden one will say cast it twice. So that means that if we have a double golden buddy on the board, the spell will be cast 5 times total, which means that your Atissa, instead of adding 3/3, is adding 15/15.
Per spell. You gotta put that in per spell.
Per coin, per spellcraft, per everything, per blood gem. 15/15. You made it a golden Atissa. That's 30/30 per spell you're playing. That's pretty good. So yeah, I can
good. I hear like lies. That's broken.
I can definitely see that if you can discover a Greta, it's really nice to just sell the buddy and make 2, because it's so good to then just pop off like crazy. You just get so many procs, but it takes a while, right? Like you hear that there is a setup. We need
you just need a Greta. Like that's not that hard.
And then the Atissa or the Wranglers, right? Because without the Atissa, it's like
you'll find something shady.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of heroes where you don't have to say, well, if you don't have these 2 specific 6 realms,
you're literally playing Atissa. Like, come on, like
you're playing Ajara, right?
Yeah,
You know that feeling when you play her and you hit the button and it's not Atissa, and then you level.
Then you say next turn copium, and then
next turn copium.
Like as soon as it procs you win. Like what is? I don't
but Buddy Meta is savage, right? People get very strong very fast. So
I guess
if you have like 1 or 2 turns where you're not hitting it, you're kind of out, right? All right. The buddy specifies spellcraft, not spells. So I will retract that. But still, every single spellcraft with a golden Atissa is +30/+30. That's pretty good. But yeah, coins. It's still great to play coins and blood gems, right? But obviously, once you have the 2 golden buddies with Greta, you're gonna be hunting for spellcraft. So that's true. Chat with the fact checking. Gotta keep me honest.
Imagine chat keeping you honest. You've done something wrong.
So those are the two I would say that are a little bit stand out on S for meter.
I'm sold on Ashara.
Yeah, yeah. When we talk about it like that, it's like it makes a lot more sense than Cindy.
Ashara in Sliders tier list is D. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I think that is just the thing of you can't play every hero. And if you haven't experienced that madness, then you're not going to rate it because you're like, Shara,
it
I've been
can't
playing
be D. I'm gonna say this is wrong.
Yeah, I played one game of her myself, and I was just like, "Well, this is pretty fucking broken." So, yeah.
I will say
Now,
they do have a decent amount of differences between the
yeah,
two.
yeah. That's why I wanted to talk about it. I thought it was really exciting to see how two players, each being rank 1 of their respective server, can have very different evaluations on certain heroes. The Barov change. The Barov being an S makes a lot of sense as well. Because if you remember last time, the Buddy being the higher tier, it just didn't really work out that much for Barov, and your Golden Buddy was so late and this and that. But there's two huge things that changed since last time for Barov. So number one is you can just pay for the Buddy, right? You can pay 6 gold to put it on your board, and then bring that back with coins
immediately.
Because before sometimes
you were having issues where you'd have to waste your coins because you're like,
well, and now you can always say I'll just pay more for the Buddy,
yeah,
and you can do that for the golden one as well. You can just say I'll just pay for the golden one, and then I'll make it back with the coins, and I'll get a 6 drop from tripling the golden one. So that's very good. And now you can go above the gold cap.
right.
So before, Barov couldn't bridge that 11 gold cost for going to tier 5. That was always that wall for Barov where you'd have to level straight to 4 here and then wait a turn and then let it tick so it goes down to 10.
Well, no, you would just buy a scallywag or swabby or a swab.
Yeah, you'd buy a swabby, right? Yeah. So, but if there was no swabby in your shop, you wouldn't be rolling.
You wouldn't be playing Barov. That's right, exactly.
But that is essentially something that held Barov back after so Barov was the nuts when the Buddy was like a 2 drop, I think.
Yeah.
Now it's a 4 drop. So I think they kind of murdered him since last time, but then the changes around it that aren't effectively Barov changes, but changes around it made it possible now that you can very, very easily get value from your Buddy. And that just makes it a good hero. So I can absolutely see it in S.
Okay.
And then I mean, we have Gallywix, Millhouse. Those are sort of this like you can make that meme like when there's good heroes, why is it always you two, right? All right, I guess we need a third to throw in there. But those are just heroes that spend a lot of money easily, and you can play pirates, you can play murlocs, you can play elementals, you can pretty much do anything that requires you to play a lot of cards.
I'm sure there's another hero like in that list that we're just like ignoring.
Well, there's a lot of flavor of the month stuff that comes up now and again. I'd say Cookie you could maybe throw in there, who's like very good in a lot of metas. But he's not really doing like it feels like Gallywix and Millhouse are just like the same hero, but slightly different mechanics.
I mean, maybe when Elementos are in there, the same hero, I guess.
I don't know, man. I've had a lot. Like you have to keep in mind Millhouse Buddy, right? So you don't roll when you play Millhouse. You just buy him from the shop all the time. Yeah. So Buddy Millhouse is very different than regular Millhouse. So, but yeah. Anyways, my opinion of that is that I like heroes that I know I'm going to get value of a little bit more than this the Millhouse and the Galley. I do think that for these rank 1, because I'm currently rank 15 or so it's solid, right? It's good, but there's still a difference between a rank 15 player and a rank 1 player.
I can tell you, I've been rank 15 and rank 1, no difference.
Yes, but I have not been I've been ranked 5, I think, right? But anyways,
there is a difference. I agree.
There's still and there is that also that appreciation for the APM. So I think if you're not constantly getting the most out of your Millhouse and your Gallywix games, I think it's easily to not put them in S. So that was what I was talking about earlier, is it needs to make sense to you. So I, for instance, would like playing a Zephyrus more than a Gallywix or a Millhouse, because with the Zephyrs I can just make a golden 5-drop, and that's just really fucking dumb, right? Making a golden 5-drop is really good. So that to me is a hero that is much easier to pilot and much easier to get a lot of value of. And then we see that in B for beater. But the ceiling on Zephyrs is a lot lower than the ceiling on Millhouse and Galley. And we also know that you do not get a lot of points at all if you're not getting first place.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure that really dictates what they're prioritizing. They want heroes where if they do well, they win every time. You know, like and that's where like Zephyrus maybe falls off a bit, where even if you get the nuts on Zephyrus, like someone with a Shara with the 30,
like
will just destroy you. And that's what's really making him strong.
Yeah, any APM player, right, will pretty much also win. So I absolutely can see why these heroes that are essentially uncapped are so highly rated, because like you said, if I do well on these, I'll win the game. If I do well on the Zephyrs, I don't always win the game. And then the last one in S that we haven't talked about is Tograggle. So Tograggle's buddy gives you the highest tier of everyone's warband in your shop.
In your shop, yeah.
So you do that in combination with the hero power. So you summon all the high tier minions in the shop, then you hero power steal it, and then you pop off.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's S, but I do like playing the hero.
When your opponents are good, it's S. Let me tell you. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, you also have to like know when to play it, right? So you have to be looking at everyone, like, okay, when did they triple? Did they have their buddies?
Yeah, so it does require some skill for sure.
Yep. You do have to hit the sweet spot. And then what do you do when you're waiting, right? Like you need to spend your gold properly.
See, the nice thing is if you do it well, your other two copies will give you the same minion, right? So then it's very easy to triple things.
Not necessarily, but you're saying if you do it well, like if you delay the first one.
Basically.
Yeah, that's true. So what you're saying is if you wait long enough for someone to have a Theo, they're very likely to still have that Theo by the time you play the second set.
Yeah, or like you don't need to use your buddy early, right? You can wait very late because you're still a decent hero even without using that battle cry.
I don't know.
Okay, fine.
There's a lot of people that are spiking hard.
Sure. Use it early. Whatever. Get your Theo first, and then get two more.
I'm just saying, right? You meet a Malagos that promotes a 4-drop.
Well, then you're gonna play it early. Yes. Okay, I agree. If you know they have something strong, take it. Yes, but I'm saying let's say you want to wait. Right? You can get 3 copies of the same card.
Yeah, my point is just that in buddy meta, people are spiking so hard that I don't really have the feeling that I'll just wait.
Well, don't wait. All right, I take it back. Don't wait. Just take your card and then take 2 more copies.
Yeah, I like to do it when I'm like, well, these people have okay minions, and then I get a big power spike, and then I try to get a little crazy with the second set, right? Where that's where you can that's where I get 5 queens or something. Where the second set is you see 2 queens in your shop, so you're getting 4 queens, and then you have one of your own already, and then you're just okay, I just have a golden queen and 2 regular queens. That shit happens a lot, and I'm just yeah, that's pretty good, honestly.
How good is 5 queens, anyways?
Good at 5 queens, anyways. Yeah.
No, that's a serious question.
That's a serious question. Well, it's Poison Divine Shield. It's pretty good.
Yeah, sometimes shady. Sometimes
we've done the experiment a few times. Poison Divine Shield minions are decent.
Fair enough.
The numbers keep coming back like that. I'd say that after S, I would probably just talk about interesting stuff.
I wanted to talk about S and sliders, and
right. We can do it. We can just step by step. Sure, and we'll see it as we we'll tackle it on the way. All right. So
sliders, the ones that jump out to me, right? He also has Gallywix, but he has Shambhala, and I was a big Shambhala fan last Buddies meta, but I wonder if it's S tier because I played it a lot, and if it pops off, it's broken, but the risk is super high. Maybe because you can pay for it, it's easy to force it when you want it, and maybe that's why you just get it super early, and then you just like, okay, I will get elementals every roll. I don't care if I'm overpaying for the buddy, but it does seem S seems a little bit high, maybe A, but S is fine. Like I can see the logic there for sure.
I did not play Chinvala yet in the buddy meta, so
you're missing out, Shady. I'm gonna tell you.
I played it in the previous buddy meta.
Well, right? It's so different now. It's different now, Shady.
Yeah, I think that the ability to just say I'll get the golden one right earlier if I want to, like just that ability to time your buddy better has probably really changed some heroes where it was so bad if you had to wait an extra turn, and now it's like, well, you just pay extra gold. It's like, oh, deal. Sign me up. I'm doing that. So yes, I will try some Chen.
Thank
but
you.
I can't really weigh in too much.
All right.
We see that Slider still has the scabs in S tier.
Yeah.
So that one is, I don't know if he's played a lot of it and he's still doing really well with it, or if it's just like scabs.
He's been playing into Ticketus, Shady. Let me tell you, that's what's
You're
going
right.
on.
His lobby has been failing and Ticketus, and he's been stealing all the good shit, and of course a little Zephyrus on the side.
Little Zeffy on the side.
get a second theater. So yeah, for me, Scab's still huge hit or miss, and the last 5 games have been the miss. But yeah, we see the Hooked as the Mutinous. That makes sense. So Sliders does not have S+, so
yeah.
Beater had the Hooked as Skin of Mutinous and S+, and I think that makes sense because they're kind of in a league of their own. They're really, really dumb right now. But I guess the only thing that we haven't really talked about then is the Murloc Holmes.
Yeah.
And this one, I think, again, wasn't around last buddy meta.
Yeah.
But the ability to just say, I'm going to pay 8 gold for this shit has been really good for me. Because you can get such nasty turns with this where you pay 8 gold for this second set, right? So then you get the triple. And the triple, the golden buddy says, well, guess what your opponent had. If you guess it correctly, you get 2 copies.
Yeah.
So you can triple off that really easily. I've done it early where I then stole Vanessa and then I 2 Vanessas on my board, and you can do really, really crazy shit with that. So I do like it. For me, it'd probably be more A than S. Like I would feel very uncomfortable putting them in the same tier as Mutants and Hooktusk.
Fair enough.
Because those are so dumb. But I can see it. I've played enough Murloc Holmes and I've played a lot of very good Murloc Holmes games that I can absolutely see it being a very good hero. We didn't see it that high on Beater's list, but we'll talk about that.
Why does he hate the quest hero? Why it's at the very bottom by itself?
Oh, so that means that it's not available.
Oh, okay.
That's what that tier says.
Oh, okay. I
so
thought he was a hater.
Yeah, he just like, screw this. It's buddy meta, not quest meta. I'm not playing that game. Not playing that garbage. No, so the Nathrius is not available currently. So I guess there is something with quests.
Yeah, that makes sense, honestly. You don't have to explain it. It makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like if there's a hero that's going to break the game right now, it's probably quests. So
where did Beater put him?
I don't think he's there.
It's not even there. Okay, fair enough. I respect it.
So then we did not take a look at A for Beater yet.
No,
right?
we haven't. No.
All right, so I guess we could stay on Slider's list, right? We don't have to switch, so
Sure.
we can go A and then go A to Beater. So the stuff here, we have Baroff, Millhouse, and Togwaggle. So all the stuff that was in Beater's S, that wasn't in Slider's S, is in A. So we don't have this huge difference of opinion, at least, right? For Sliders to Beater, maybe from Beater to Sliders, it's different. Then, is there anything here?
There's two. There's two.
Okay.
There's two heroes. Where I'm like, this one's weird. Do you want to guess?
Future Side?
No, Future Side I actually think makes sense.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if you said about the thing that blows up your own board? Okay. Crag.
Crag is one, yes. That
Crag
one I
is
don't
one.
understand.
Let's see. I'd say the other one is one of three. I think it's
Okay.
Rat King, Gem Guy, or Secret
The
Guy.
secret guy, yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Those two I don't understand, but the others are. I can see the future side. Even though
Okay.
you blow up your board, like it's not likely, and I guess like the general power level of it is pretty high. Is what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. No, I mean, there's still side boards where you look at it and be like, "Ooh, that's a lot of summoners." So
Yeah.
that's kind of rough to deal with. So for me, I think the Crag is just the thing where he's played it a lot and or enough that he's got a feel for, okay, I can just pay a lot for this buddy and then reset twice, because the second set of buddies, even if you pay a lot for it, it's probably going to make you money.
Right.
So just the ability to say, all right, just give me a little bit of a loan here, Bob. Come on, I'll pay you back straight away, right? Like
Okay.
I'm gonna pay a lot for the second set and just get money, and then pop off.
Mm.
So that's maybe what he's doing. Like, once again, disclaimer: I haven't actually seen Sliders play Crack, so can't tell you for sure that's what he's doing. But that's the first thing that comes to mind to me. That what would be different from the previous buddy meta is that now you can just force your second set of buddies, whereas before on Crag, you would probably have to take a beating,
Mm-hmm.
and then your buddy meter would pop, and
Mm-hmm.
then you would get those two things, and then it was really do or die.
Right.
You have all this gold, but you're so low HP, and you don't have your scaling engine yet, and you're gonna end up wasting 25 gold that
Right.
turn because
Right.
you're frantically rolling for things to keep you alive. Whereas if you could say, well, I don't need like 25 gold, just give me an extra 12 gold or something right now, that might be good enough to just say, okay, that allows me to go to 6. I get my Theo, and then I pop off, or I get whatever, right? I get some mama bears or a dinosaur, or something early to do well with. So make me want to pick Crag and say, you know what? The ability to press the ability to press the buddy button early to get the two extra ones seems good.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then secret guy. Any thoughts on that one?
I think Secret Guy is just so obnoxious where you can still just run Macaw with a golden secret thing, and then
Okay.
I've done it with ETC, and it's really annoying because this thing pretty much always spawns like a poison snake and a mirror and a split.
Yeah.
So knowing that it's gonna make a poisonous, and knowing that it's going to split something, and you can kind of decide what it splits with taunt,
Mm-hmm.
that's still pretty good. So
Okay.
I wouldn't put it in A myself, but I've fought against enough secret guy boards, and I think it also scales a lot with skill, where if you really can exploit splitting image, we've
Mackerel.
seen that in the past. Yeah,
Mackerel
yeah.
chat. I
With
hate
a
it.
Mackerel, a Taunted Deflecto bot, maybe even a Queen. Like, that's the thing, right? Knowing what the lobby is playing and then tailoring your split minion to that can be quite powerful. Right? Sometimes the taunted queen will be insane, like summoning another queen. Sometimes it'll be a mackerel. Sometimes it'll be something like, hey, let's make me another token thing, right? Because everyone's playing poison, and you're like making another taunted gas coil or whatever, or something weird. So yeah, I don't know exactly, but that's what I would imagine.
Okay. And everything else makes sense to you, or like those are the
Uh,
ones that are weird to me.
yeah, so I will say that I understand the dead speaker,
Okay.
but I think that is a bit more of an off meta pick
Okay.
because you don't see that many dead speakers, and I think a lot of people are also not really aware of what the potential is of this guy. So what used to be the nuts on dead speaker is Flat Tusk, and Flat Tusk is no longer in the game.
Right.
So dead speaker's buddy has as a text, when you get a blood gem, you would gain one
2.
more.
Yeah.
So with Flat Tusk, every time you would spend 5 gold,
Yeah, I think it was
you'd get
5 gold, yeah.
yeah, you'd get like 2 gems in your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get 4 with this guy. So I was like, wee. Um, or was it 1 gem per 5 gold? Maybe it's whatever. Or maybe it was golden Flat Tusk that I'm thinking about. It doesn't matter. You get a lot of gems, a lot of gems. Now, the way you do this right now is profits. So you can make a golden profit early on,
Mm-hmm.
which gives you 2 gems
Every time
per
you play
Crowbar.
crowbar, yeah.
Yeah. So now you'd get 4 every time you play Quillboard.
Right.
And then if you sell a bacon,
Yeah.
you get a lot of gems. You play
Yeah.
anything that has Battlecry play a gem, you're gonna double dip because you're going to get 2 extra from playing the Quillboard with the Prophet, and you're gonna get 2 extra from playing the Battlecry thing. So that essentially, anytime you play a Battlecry Quill, is just like your hands full.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually did this on tests where I stole shit from the Dead Speaker, and I had 2 of these golden buddies with a Prophet. So every time I played a Quill, my hand was just full. So then I had an Agam, and it was just like
No, not like this.
I think like one turn I played like 60 gems or something. It was like wee gem, 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 and had a dynamic duo as well. So that guy was just like getting large. So yeah, that game made me look at it and be like, you know what? I might pick this gem guy myself sometime instead of stealing his buddy.
Sounds fun,
Yeah,
honestly.
it
It all sounds fun. That's the annoying part here. It's like
buddies are good. Buddies are fun.
I've been telling you that, Shady, for years.
I stand by my thing that I think buddies are fun. I think quests are better.
What? You still think that? Okay.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more weeks, and we'll get him. We'll get him changing his tune.
So relaxed, just queuing into a game and be like, give me whatever hero. It's fine. Like,
That's true. That is true. That is very true.
Yeah. I'd say the last one I would just highlight here is that there's a Rat King in A, and I think that's also because Rat King gets a good hero power now.
Yeah.
Before Rat King had a shit hero power, so the buddy of Rat King is not that good, but you can get quite a lot of rolls out of it in the mid game, and Elise is now a minion. So you can combine the Rat King buddy with a lot of free rerolls and then farm Golden Monkey. So I think that's those 2 things make Rat King jump from like mid tier from last buddy meta to now high tier, and I think that's correct.
Okay.
Really good synergy with Elise and the buddy, and the hero power is just good, right?
Yeah.
So cool. All right, let's look at beaters A.
Right. Anything different here? He has okay. Let me tell you the ones that jump out to me as weird. It's only one, actually.
Onyxia.
Yeah. That's correct.
That's not like a sore thumb, right? It's like, why is there an Onyxia in A here, Beater? Beater? You play like one Onyxia game and it went well, or what's going on here?
You just called it out so easily. Yeah, that's correct.
Well, I disagree with a few, but I think Onyxia stands out. I think Omu does not feel A tier right now.
That makes sense too. I can see that.
It's just a bit too much. And I think N'Zoth is probably fine because Boombox Guy is now a thing, so you can just make a golden Boombox.
Yeah.
So I think with Mech Beastin, N'Zoth is probably A. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I can see Omu being weird, but the Onyxia one just definitely like, what's going on here?
What's going on here, man? So I think that with Onyxia, it's one of those, okay, undeads are in, demons are in, undeads are in, mechs are in. I said undead twice, but there's 4 token types, right? So I think if all token types are in, you're just like, all right, let me just take Onyxia.
Right.
Everything is a token. I'll just get huge, and then I'll just figure it out.
The interesting thing is it's ordered, right? So it's very high in A. It's very, very high. Like, and usually when it comes to like weird stuff, it's like at the lower end of the high tier, but like it's like I love this card, top 10 in a hero in the game potentially for beater, which I'm just like, okay, that's weird, but yeah,
a lot of good Onyxia games.
Yeah, he must have a lot of good Onyxia games for sure.
So again, with more tokens in, because I remember picking this in last buddy meta once or twice and be like, you know what, Onyxia is not that bad.
I remember, and I was like, I hate it. I did not like it.
Yeah, but we play different, right?
We do play different. I agree with that.
I do a lot more mid-range shit.
Yeah, does this give me a 6 drop? No, okay, I don't like the hero. Like that's how it works for me.
I will say that we see Vol'jin in both of their A's, and I do like that. I think Vol'jin is still just awesome in the buddy meta. I pick him all the time. Last time I picked him in like a no Naga, no mech lobby, right? So it was like what am I doing here? And I just made like 2 big golden salvos and a big baron. I was like, Vol'jin can do something in any lobby, man. Screw that. I just love this hero. So a lot less powerful, I think, in the
without Chronoma or not Chronoma, but
Chromoing, right? Chromoing used
yeah.
to be exponential scaling.
Mhm.
So you would just, this is literally what happened in Lobby Legends, guys. For those of you who did not see it, we saw people warrior curve, which is not super uncommon. So you stay on tier 1 until 7 gold. We saw someone roll hard on 7 gold instead of leveling to get chromoing on the Vol'jin, and it was correct to do that play. Because all you need is to get some stats on your board, then get chromoing, then move the stats to the chromoing. So bacon was the most common thing, how you would do this, right? You would get like 1 or 2 bacons, then you get like 5 base damage on your chromoing. Level once it goes to 10, level twice it goes to 20, level third time it goes to 40. You now have 40 damage minion on your board. Then you got your buddy from the buddy meter. You swap the 40 damage to the buddy. You play a deflector next to that thing. Ta-da! 40 damage on your deflector bot. This was every Vol'jin game with dragons in was like this. It was just following the script. So sometimes you would even make a golden chromoing on tier 1 and be like, fuck the triple. I don't care if it's a 2-drop. Doesn't matter. Just give me golden chromoing on tier 1 so that I can level and then have that exponential attack scaling on it. Now that is no longer a thing, I do think Vol'jin is a lot more difficult to play. You have to actually use your brain more.
My least favorite activity here.
Using the brain, yeah.
You did remind me of something. We don't have the the rankings for the Lobby Legends, because it's the 31st right now, right? Like it's the end of the month. Yeah. And normally we're just like, here's who's fighting, but now we're just like, let's just wait for Lobby Legends. Like I don't even know when it starts. I know it's 3 months, but we're hitting the 4th month. So is it this month or is it like afterwards?
I think this is the final qualification month.
Okay,
but again, right? This is how they just.
It has to be, right?
Slaughtered the format
because the first month was like super short, so this has to be the final qualification month.
I think so. Oh, did you see that Abar quit?
Yes, I did see. I messaged him. I sent him a heartfelt message.
Yeah, man, that was rough. That's rough.
Yeah. Now
so it's
should I put
pretty much
go ahead. That should have been a topic, by the way.
But I feel like it ties in nicely whenever we're talking about this, because Abar was definitely someone who was fighting for Hearthstone esports.
Yeah, he was.
So it makes sense that he's off doing different stuff right now, because they essentially just butchered Hearthstone esports, the Lobby Legends included. So it is indeed a bit weird that this is essentially should be a super exciting day, right? It's the last day of the last month of the qualifier. So normally what you would see is you pull up the Twitch directory and then you go see, and there's probably like 4 or 5 streamers being like, oh, we're checking who's playing. And it's like, I remember those days where Bobo came up, right? Bobo was a very, very small streamer and was doing consistently well. And he would just do these like crazy, like 12-hour streams, end of the month, being like, all right, we get in or we go home, right? We just go hard. And that's just not happening at all. Like, we don't see that. Like, Beater is playing for rank 1 for fun, basically.
Isn't he already rank 1?
Well, there is someone who has an MMR bug, apparently.
I heard.
He was showing some stuff from Wally where the number 2, now number 1, I think, was gaining like 20 points more for a win.
Yeah.
Which is out like that.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
It might not sound like that much if you're not in the 20 points. That's all. No. That's an insane world of difference, right? So like every every 3 wins he gets like an extra first place.
I mean, that's so unfair.
Imagine every time you get 3 top 1s, it's like you get an extra top 1. It's ridiculous.
It also means that his 8s and low places are also being punished less as well. So it's really just not fair at all.
Which makes me wonder if a bar quits, who's looking into this now? Because
That's true. That's
it was
true.
a bar that was communicating with us about that. So I don't know who we're tagging about this right now, and because a bar did say that those cheaters are not getting into Lobby Legends. Like
Right.
he did check who it was that was abusing this MMR system, and it said, okay, these guys are not getting into Lobby Legends. I'm assuming that he passed that along.
But
it'd be
do we have like an alternative point of contact essentially?
I don't know.
So
I mean, I
no.
guess.
So so
Well,
no.
no, I don't. But there might be, right? But
Right.
I don't know. But I'm
They're
not
not
saying that
visible enough then, essentially is what you're
yeah,
saying.
I guess. But whatever. I don't want to derail too much.
Right.
So we got here because we were talking about, hey, it's the end of the month. Why, like normally we'd be talking about Lobby Legends.
Yeah.
You guys have heard us talk about this before. If you haven't, go back a few episodes. There's definitely a long one there that'll be titled Hearthstone Esport Change or something along those lines, where we talk about it at length about how the circuit changed, and it's not for the better. So it's very unfortunate, but yeah, it's just not interesting right now. It's not interesting to be like, oh, there's like 4 people per continent that are relevant. It's just, I mean, it's completely ridiculous. Compared to before, we had like what,
a
30
lot of
players
people could
maybe
participate.
more than 30, right? Yeah, that were in the running. Anyways, so coming back to tier A on Beater's tier list, we had that weird pick, the Onyxia, that was standing out. We talked a little bit about the Boombox with the Nazoth. We talked about Vol'jin. Omu looks a little weird. I think the other one that we can then address is the Arana. So Arana is second in A tier.
But this one with it's being tier 1, I can kind of see it like very cheap, and then you just like try to hit some payoffs, and it's kind of very similar to the reroll that you were talking about. If you can get Elise with this, like you could definitely pop off, and it's very easy to get the golden minion. So at least you get this early golden minion, and we all know how strong that is. So all of this, like I kind of see it. So it wasn't like that surprising, at least to me. But
it makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense. I think it's one of those things where you just have to be really fast. You have to think fast.
This is a beater pick.
Yes. I was about to say that this does not make it into my A tier in second place because I'm not as fast as Peter. All right, cool. Let's check out Sliders A tier then.
I think we did look at Sliders A tier a little bit, right? We
did we stay? All right, we stayed in Sliders A. All right, cool. Let's drop down
now
to
for the everything down. I think it's crazy to talk about the list in particular. I want to talk about like what jumps out to you being wrong in these lists, right?
So, you want to just talk about Beaters B if there anything jumps out?
Okay. I was down to talk about B through D through unplayable, the whole thing actually. But
no, that's fine. But I'm just saying we can go. Oh, you just want to do everything from Beater now? That's weird. Yeah, that's fine as well. Let's just look at stuff that's weird then, or that we might not agree with.
This one is like kind of hard, right? Like there's not that much that really seems too shocking. In B nothing, I guess.
For me,
you could say Reform is a little high, but I'm not gonna say that. I'm a big fan of Reform. So
yeah, I don't like Reform. I think Cats should probably not be in B.
No, I'm down. I'm down for B and Cat.
I like Gilwing and Zephy quite a bit more.
Oh right, Gilwing. That's true. Gilwing, you're right. That one also maybe should be higher.
But maybe Beater doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know the strats. Right? Yeah, I agree with that.
And yeah, I already mentioned it. I feel like Zephy is just like, of course you can miss, but it feels just so crazy. Like the amount of games I've just insta-won because I hit Bran or Nomi or Hogger. Like it's not like you're gonna completely bottom out if you make a golden Urzel. You're like, oh yeah, I have a golden Urzel. I'll just like get big for a while and then I'll add some poisons later and then I'll play for top 2, for top 3. But we talked about it, right? Beater really, really, really wants a first. When he, if he's having a good game, he wants it to be a first. He doesn't want to be a second, doesn't want it to be a third, wants it to be a first. So in that light, I can't see it. But I think for a lot of players, we can move Zephy up to A at the very least. Because like if you're gaining points for fourth, making a golden 5-drop, man, it's like a lot of the time that's going to give you at least fourth.
I'm looking at everything and nothing is like crazy to me. From
Right,
the
in the
whole
lower-
list, the whole
lower
list, it all looks like fairly fine. So you would have to tell me, since you were a little bit more experienced, like what is actually weird. I guess Ragnaros
so-
could be better, right? Because it has that.
Yeah, I think Ragnaros with the tipper strats
Yeah, it's
is
better.
probably like more B.
Mhm.
Especially if Murlocs are out, right? And it's not so easy to poison. I think that so George is one they have in common, where George is one of those specific lobby picks again, where
right.
if you have very few
But it doesn't
tokens in
win.
lobby-
I bet that's its problem. It doesn't win.
George can absolutely win, right? Like, but
In
then
high
it's more
tier
like,
lobbies, I mean, I don't know.
yeah, make
like-
a poison divide shield, man. That still wins.
Okay.
It's
That's true.
it's
I guess
about-
you can still do that. Yeah.
yeah, I lost to a George recently. Like it definitely wins, but I understand it. It's not your typical pick where you're like, oh, I'm a pop off on George. Right? That's not what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand it, but I would definitely not put it.
It's not unplayable. I agree, but like I don't think many of these are unplayable. That's the thing, right? So it's like maybe in that
Daryl feels unplayable.
Sure. Okay.
Because he's just so
normal. He's so normal, right?
Does the same thing that he did before, but we've had huge power creeps.
It's
then.
like he doesn't have a buddy. I feel you, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like they didn't give Daryl a buddy, and like Daryl's not really playable outside of buddy meta either, right? It's just, I mean, you've just introduced stuff like Theodore, where you make such huge minions so consistently. For a while, you had Kornormu running around, like making things larger, and then you expected Daryl, whose hero power still does the same thing. At some point, it was buffed, right? But it hasn't been buffed in a long time.
Plus four
Yeah,
buffs, like that sounds a lot, though.
I mean, at some point, we're gonna get there.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, Daryl just doesn't really buff enough.
Ooh, it should buff based on your tavern tier or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna solve that, but
Okay.
yeah, it's essentially
You also have to speed up the animation. That thing takes too long.
I played one APM Daryl game in my whole life, and it was pure pain.
Yeah.
You have to watch the hats flying around before you can buy your pirate.
Unnecessary for sure.
Every single time. I think the patches in D is something that a lot of people would disagree with.
I'm not a patches fan, but I can see it. I'll give it to you.
Buddy still works with Bran, I think, right? It's
it does. Yeah.
So that's still just nasty on cleaves and stuff. But I can see it if he just doesn't like it. I think for the most part, Beater's list is very solid.
Yeah, so.
There's maybe Jiraxis that can move up, where I've had two Jiraxis games. No, for real. I've had two Jiraxis games. They're both really good, like first and second.
That's you. That's a you thing, Liz. I'm not gonna give Jiraxis credit.
It's a buddy that gives you economy. And
I know. It's a good buddy. I agree. It's a shame it's tacked into Jiraxis.
The shame it's Jiraxis buddy. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see. All right, let's move over to sliders then. Let's see if anything jumps out.
Hey, Rafam and B, let's go. We take that. I will say they do have very different, like, maybe not very different, but like some differences in the very low tiers, I would say.
Yeah. So we see a patches here in B, for instance. Right? That's already we see also a Ticketus in B. I think Ticketus was pretty low in Beater's list. But I think this is also just an effect of you just do not have enough time to play every hero. So some heroes you're just like probably unplayable.
I've played every hero, man. I don't know what to talk about.
Plays every hero 5 times a day.
Right?
If you're not playing every hero 5 times a day, are you even trying? I mean, come on.
True. But yeah, you're right. There are some differences there. He does have Lich Bazal much higher as well.
Yes.
or it's in D?
This is one I wanted to mention as well. So I don't know if this is the Weaver thing or if it's just like, hey, it's still Lich. I have not been getting liched, so it does feel like the people that are power leveling are just then running into someone with a good buddy setup and like get run over and die with the low HP, which in a way feels extremely satisfying. Because last meta was so stupid, where you would just get smacked by a lich on turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, turn 8. And now, a lot of the time, you see these liches go straight to 4, you see them drop low, and then they just get mutinous and die. Because they can only take one loss, and then mutinous is like, well, you always lose to me, so have fun.
That's rough. It's rough
yeah.
out there for sure.
So that's why I don't know if they're still doing that like giga power level thing, or if they're just doing the hey, let me play a weaver or whatever that damages myself and use the buddy to grow. But we'll see. Maybe something we can ask.
I am looking, and all the unplayables and the trash are like very similar between the two. Like the only difference is like maybe the Alexstrasza, but the Alexstrasza is in D, which is like
the huge one we already mentioned. That's a Shara in D, right? That's
right.
an insane difference in the two lists. So one has a Shara, and like I would never want to pick this, and the other one has hey, I'll pick every Shara I see, except if it's like against the Rana or whatever. That's a massive difference. We also see an Onyxia in C, right? And Beater had it very high in A. So there are definitely differences.
Yeah, very true. But anyone jump out to you here more, or no? It's
yeah. I'm looking at it right now. There's definitely going to be one or two. I think Greybow in D. I want to see where Beater has it because Greybow is not unplayable at all.
I agree. I agree. You know, Greybow, man. It's just
again. I think it's the syndrome of just like it's like first place syndrome. Like if you have to get first, sure, but you don't really lose MMR playing a Greybow most of the time. In my experience.
Yeah, in your experience, dude, that's not been mine. So yeah.
I'm a Greybow enthusiast, so whatever.
Yeah, they buffed it. They buffed it, you know.
Yeah. You see Greybow's like dealing 9 to me, and I was like, why was this a 2-drop, man? Like I want to see. So they both have Brucon in B as well. I have not played a single Brucon this meta. So I wonder as well, like what they're doing there, how long they're keeping the buddy, what they're doing with it. Because Brucon used to be this
broken.
Let me just
pause,
like pop the buddy, because that was such a fun thing to watch it just go ham. You would just get a macaw and then giga death rattles on your buddy, and then the macaw would just proc it with the baron. Oh, that's bringing back memories. Maybe I should play a Brucon. You attack and there's just so many things going off. You're just AoEing the board. Zap, 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 zap. Yeah. No, but honestly, the tier lists for the most part,
they look fine. Yeah, I'm looking as well. They just look fine to me as well.
Yeah, I think these are solid lists. If you don't really know what to pick, then I think you can go with either of these.
Yeah, if you're on EU, you take the EU list.
Yeah.
Covia, man. I mean, just pick whatever. They're both fine.
So just for clarification again, you can go to Twitter. This is where these tier lists were posted. The EU one is from Sliders, so that's at Sliders_HS. And then the other one is Beater, which is Beater Babbitt, right? So at Beater Babbitt, if you're going to be looking for them yourself.
Very true. All right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Think we covered it.
Yeah.
Good.
Any final thoughts? Any final discussions about anything we've talked about today?
I'm thinking about it. Nothing really jumps to mind other than something I could throw out. How would you feel about if they did like a 5-day friend of a friend event or something like that?
Just 5 days.
Yeah, just say like
this isn't going to be in the tournament that I was preparing for when it came out. Yeah.
So essentially, what I would propose, or just gauge, see how people would enjoy this or not. 5 days or a week or whatever, right? Where you say, okay, this is not going to affect tournaments, or at least not official Lobby Legends tournaments. You can't account for all the unofficial ones. So if you have just like a week outside of qualification or whatever, where I say, hey, we're gonna enable friend of a friend.
If it's like near the MMR reset, I'm probably down for it. I had such a big reaction against it because I had a tournament that month, right? Like, and I was like, how do you practice? How do you prepare for this tournament when this thing is like not ruining, but like affecting the games in a massive way, and it's not healthy, right? Like, so I needed to change before the tournament come out so you could get some decent practice and whatnot. That was like my big issue. If it was like just being done for funsies for MMR, just cause like that's fine. Like it's not changing like the landscape, and especially if it's like right before MMR reset, I'm all for it. Not all for it, but like I'm more okay with it. Whereas if you do it like at the beginning of an MMR, right, that's way too much of a swing in like how people will affect things. So if you have those caveats, then sure.
Cool. There was a question in the chat with what are the top heroes you both enjoy playing? So if we're just talking about enjoyment level.
Stealing scabs, any stealing reform scabs, I like that a lot. Shimvala, I'm actually a big fan of as well. Like just the freedom. I don't love heroes that you can die with if you mess up. However, I do like Maiev. Which you can die if you mess up, but Zephyrus, the consistently strong heroes where I don't have to worry about them messing up like Zephyrus is also pretty good for me. And also, generally Elise fan. Just like hero power free 6-drop, like anything that gives you a 6-drop, at least for me, it's like, yeah, okay, I like it. Those are my thoughts.
I'd say Vol'jin is my favorite one. Like I really like
not mine.
It's such a powerful thing to just move stats around. That's a big one for me.
See, I don't have to move stats around if all my units have huge stats. You see, it's very different.
I was just make them all big. Well, I mean that's what you do with Vol'jin, right? You move it to the buddy, and then the buddy makes everything big. Sure. So that's a strategy. But even outside of buddy meta, I like Vol'jin. I'd say across all metas, Vol'jin has been like my most consistent favorite hero because it's just so rewarding. Like a good Vol'jin game feels like art. Where you're like, this was so good.
My most played is Rafam, so yeah.
Mine too.
I used to be like when Rafam first came out, I was very against it. I was like, how dare you put this? It breaks the game, blah blah blah. And then like they nerfed it a little bit, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is my favorite hero." I didn't go like I didn't change my tune, but I was just like, huh?
What was the nerf to Rafam?
I don't remember. It was years ago.
Yeah. But like did Rafam get nerfed or
maybe? Fine, let's look it up.
I'm not sure.
I feel like it got changed. Or players got better. Maybe players got better.
Players just got better.
Yeah, they stopped giving me stuff.
I can't imagine like Rafam's hero power doing something else at some point or costing. It was never 0 mana, right? So it's like, yeah, thinking about it. I think indeed so when Rafam came out, it was just like in 3 terms time you'd have a golden spawn of N'Zoth. Because everyone would lead with Spawn of N'Zoth, and yeah, that was so free. You get a golden spawn, you get huge tempo, and then you'd be a house.
Yeah, maybe it didn't get nerfed. You're right. Maybe just players got better. It got nerfed because players got better. Like that's how I feel. That's my head. It got nerfed because players stopped giving me spawn every time.
Stop giving you good shit, and you started getting a lot of tabby cats. And you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
People are thinking about me. That's annoying. All right, cool. No, I think that's it. I think that was a nice little finisher talking about the favorite hero.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you guys for joining us here today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Send us feedback at hsbgpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at those relevant website links. And hope you guys enjoy this one. Lobby Legends is coming up real soon. We'll see some of the best players, grinders, fight it out for a large prize pool. Hope you guys enjoy that one. We'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Da 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 da.